that's the day I realized that this is my true passion, and I'm going to pursue it simultaneously along with the rest of my career.
I have this unreasonable target of being financially independent at 21.
This question has been asked to me in all the IIM interviews that I sat for. Why are you here?
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast show organized by IST Credit. We're here with Dr. Dhairya Srivastav. She completed her MBBS from Kasturba Medical College, Manipal in 2017. She then joined National Heart Institute in Delhi and then worked at Ernst & Young as a consultant intern. She recently completed MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and currently works in Bain & Company as a junior consultant. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much, Avikal, for having me and for the entire team to invite me. It's always a pleasure to talk to, people who are from the same undergraduate area. I mean, I've done my UG from Manipal, and it's just a stone's throw away distance from NITK. And I'm really excited to be talking to you, and especially about your, anecdotes and excursions on the beach that you have. I was always very jealous that you guys have a beach on your campus, like within your campus.
Yeah, we miss college too, and especially the beach. We're very excited to begin the session. So, ma'am, shall we get into it?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So my first question is, tell us something about your childhood and maybe some memories that you have back from your schooling days.
I don't know. I mean, my childhood was pretty boring. I mean, very honestly, Avikal, I was a person who was a teacher's pet. And I was always into academics, and my extracurriculars were also the nerdy types, for example, debating. And I used to play the violin. Yeah, that's one thing.
That's great.
Apart from that, like memories as in what exactly are you fetching for?
Anything. It can be good or bad, something which you will never forget probably for the rest of your life.
Oh, something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. I think that would have to be, I mean, these memories are not exactly the academic memories that you have. These are just like, these bullet points that you write on your CV, like under the achievements title. But one thing that I'll really not forget was the time when I had, gotten away from my home with a bunch of my friends and gone to see The Departed when I was in class 7th. And that was an R-rated movie. And I mean, 12-year-olds were not allowed. But we somehow managed to get in taxi, even though that time Uber was not there. This is like, I'm talking about 2006, 2007. And we managed to see The Departed, and we came back to our homes like around 5:30 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I think that was a very adrenaline rushed evening or so, I mean, that I have to say.
I can definitely understand that. And how was your schooling days? Like, I guess that you were one of those top ranked students in school and you were pretty good with academics. So tell us a bit about that as well, your achievements in school, 10th, 12th, and your entrance examination.
Now I had the impression that we'll be having a conversation. This has just, very swiftly pivoted to an interview. Like, please tell us your academic achievements, class 10, this, class 12, so many percentage. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to, reap the benefit of my inputs. I mean, I was a hardworking student during my school days. And even in class 10th and 12th, I had really good marks. But you know what? At the end of the day, these achievements, again, as I told, they've just become like bullet points or placeholders, or, how you fill your CV. It always becomes about what experiences you had, how the friendships that you formed, and more or less about what learnings did you derive from that phase of your life.
Right. That's good to know. Now coming to your college, we know that you did an MBBS from KMC, which is, as you mentioned, hardly a 30-minute drive from NITK. So how stressful or how fun was medical?
You know what? I don't know medical. Somehow there are so many different colleges in India offering the same degree, but the kind of exposure, the kind of mentorship, the kind of experiences that Manipal offered me, trust me, Avikal, I could not have asked for that in any other college. it is very rare to find, the exposure in terms of the research, the depth and breadth of co-curriculars and extracurriculars offered at Manipal, especially, and the kind of academic competition that exists. Nobody realizes that, but I think Manipal is one college which churns out the highest number of USMLE people who clear USMLE from India. And it was just an exhilarating experience. I had my lows, I had my ups, but overall, when I look back, I always feel that no, I mean, I think something is missing. I need to go back and experience it somewhat more again. In terms of experiences at Manipal, one thing that's something very unique about it, the place, is that it offers you all sorts of opportunities, and you can make what you want to be here. If you want to be a person who's very good and thorough in your academics and the top-notch number one rank holder in your batch, and you want to go ahead and give MLE, crack it with flying color marks, go ahead. If you want to take a chill pill in life, experience the natural beauty in and around Karnataka by going on so many excursions and trips, you can do that as well. You can go into anything and anywhere from this place. I mean, and I really look back with very good intentions, not good intentions, but I look back at that phase of my life as a very, very good and very well cherished phase of my life.
Right. So that was all about academics, I think, when we were talking about your time at Manipal. May I ask you what extracurriculars were you a part of at the same time?
I was part of the street play team. Well, it was not exactly a team, but whenever there was a street play, let's say from our batch or from our college, I participated in. We had gone to, I remember, St. John's in Bangalore for a competition.
Bangalore, yes.
Yeah. So that was good memories there as well. Then Utsav is there. I'm pretty sure. I think NITK participates in Utsav as part of the flagship Manipal University. I think it does. As part of NITK's flagship extracurricular fest, that's Incident. I vividly remember I had come with one of my very good friends, and she was participating in the solo dance competition, and I was there helping her out, and we had a ton of a gala time on the beach. I mean, I was literally blown away that you guys have a beach on the campus, and it was such an alive place. Trust me, those are one of the few moments in life when I really I felt that I was alive on that beach that time. Amazing.
I can relate to it. Yes, I can really relate to it. Unfortunately, with all this pandemic going on, we do not know yet when we'll go back to college. But yeah, I can definitely relate to it.
So I just wanted to share, I remember that on that particular day, I was wearing this Beatles t-shirt, okay? And there was this girl who was there or who was conducting some games on the beach. And she, she just clicked, oh, you are a Beatles fan as well. And I'm like, yeah. And I just remember that kind of a simplicity, or just, connecting with people because of your musical interests. That is something I think you can only enjoy in UG, and I think especially in this around area, Manipal and in and around area. I don't think so that exists anywhere across the country. I mean, this kind of a place or an environment, I don't think so. It will be very hard to find. Apart from street play, this is another one of my nerdy interests that was there. We had a student research forum in KMC Manipal, and I was part of the organization for about 2 years, and the third year I became the secretary. So as part of that organization, I was in and around the student council events. We had organized a flagship national medical symposium. So, I was part of the editorial board as well for 2 years in KMC Manipal. So overall, I had a pretty good experience at Manipal, not just from the academic side, but also an overall development that you seek for as a personality or as an individual.
Right. So that brings me to the next question. And I think it's the highlight of our podcast. The most fascinating part of your journey was transitioning from MBBS to MBA, right? And that too for a high achieving medical student like you, considering that the number of students who do this is very less across the country. How was the experience? How easy or how hard was it? And what challenges were there in the entire transitioning phase?
you will not believe it, because this question has been asked to me in all the IM interviews that I sat for. Why are you here? Why are you here? Like,
That's
they
kind of
literally ask
expensive. Yeah.
So they're always asking the question that, this time the world needs more doctors. We don't need more MBAs. Why are you
Right.
here as for an MBA degree? And to that, I simply answer that as a doctor, the impact that you have on lives is enormous. It cannot be matched. It's just that when you want to upscale and you want to have an even 10 times higher scale or 10 times higher achievement, you need like a top down approach, whether that be in terms of the health policy changes, whether that be helping out big corporations who are doing good work, like corporations as in medical device corporations or pharmaceutical or corporations. And for that, I was lacking the necessary language, the necessary skills, as well as the necessary industry content or the industry knowledge that that only an MBA degree could have provided me at that time. And I was fortunate enough to get into the best MBA college of the country, IIM Ahmedabad. And again, IIM Ahmedabad, I mean, is an experience in all its sense. I mean, the challenges that I faced over there was, since I had been very closely associated with the biology field, like for 5.5 years, or even actually 6.5 years, because I was working for a year, it becomes difficult to get into that mode where it's very engineering dominated. It's
Right.
IIM Ahmedabad. I'll tell you, you have people from all top engineering colleges in there. The toppers of those IIT Delhi, IIT Bombays, they are there. So that ways it kind of becomes difficult. The competition and the level of I won't say competition, but the level of motivation that is there in that place. Even though IIM Ahmedabad is very small, the campus size is extremely small, but in that per square feet, motivation level is off the charts. So that is when you realize that, okay, fine, when you want to change the world, you need to have this level of motivation and a determination. That was a very stark change that I felt as coming from a medical background. But overall, MBA was a very highly enriching and learning experience for me. I mean, I learned things which I don't think so as a doctor I could have learned. So overall, my experience has been very good. And again, like I always correct the question that it was not a transition. It was not a swift change, or it's not a pivoting. It's an add-on degree. I remember there have been so many pushes by so many top-notch colleges, like even IIM Ahmedabad and even AIMS, I think. They have given out so many articles and editorials in top-notch newspapers saying that at this point of time, we have the best set of minds in the medical field. We have the best set of resources. I mean, not everywhere, but we do still have like best set of resources in the metros and tier 1 cities. We lack management skills. And that is why many times it's because of mismanagement that we are not able to deliver properly to the patient. So at this, I think this is the very right time. Pandemic has shown us very well how mismanagement, just blows your game, even if you have the resources, even if you have the people, even if you have the knowledge. If you're not able to manage your time, your organization blows away. So that kind of a skill set and that kind of a bent of mind is required in medical community as well. So I'll never say it's a transition or I'm pivoting. It's an add-on degree.
Right. As you mentioned, because of mismanagement in the medical industry and because of lack of experience, we have seen what the outcomes are, especially in this entire pandemic era. So my next question to you is regarding that. Why not do something in the management sector of the medical industry? We know that you work at Bain & Company as a consultant, but have you ever thought of, going back to the medical industry and, get into the management sector over there? Because number one, you're experienced with medicine in general, and number two, you have your consultancy skills as well, your management skills as well. So, you can combine the both and see how it goes for you.
So that's a very viable option, Avikal. I mean, it's completely possible that I may switch or I may jump to that aspect as well. Like when you're like a medical superintendent at a top-notch hospital.
Right, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, those options are 100% available. I mean, it's not like I don't want to go there. It's just that I chose consultancy as my first stepping stone. See, the best part about consultancy is that you're not tied to one company, or you're not tied down to one industry. You are rotated in different industries and different sets of companies in a very short basis, like 6 months here, a 6 month stint there, a 4 month stint there. So within a very short span of time, you're able to gather flavors of various industries and sectors. So that was one idea behind why not to just simply jump into that very carved out role that you just mentioned. And I wanted to try something more as well. Like I wanted to try out pharma. I wanted to try out medtech. I wanted to try out actual hospital care, hospital management. Then you have insurance coming up in a big way. It's a huge sunrise industry. So
Right.
yeah, I want that kind of a exposure to different sets of industries can only be provided by consultancy.
Yeah. So talking about consultancy in general, we have a lot of undergraduate engineering students who are quite intrigued by the vastness of this entire field. For them, could you describe what a day in the life of a consultant looks like?
So a consultancy is a very tightly jam-packed fit, high deadline, high stressed. I won't say stressed. I mean, that's on you whether you want to take stress or not.
Right.
But it's quite a high, fast-paced life. You're working for about 12 to 14 hours every day. Weekends are, Bain & Company definitely gives you off weekends, but there are some consultancy firms where you need to work on the weekends as well. And you are actually on your laptop and you're meeting with clients, you are telling them about the analysis that you've done, how impact you are driving. What if you're just jumping out and bouncing off ideas with your colleagues? Because at that time, client is your boss. Even though you're reporting to your manager, the client becomes your boss, and you need to impress the client. You need to deliver the results. You need to target, and you just deliver what you've promised the client. So if that's the kind of lifestyle that people want to go, and the added benefits are enormous. I mean, exposure to different sets of sectors and industries in a short span of time, exposure to CXO and CXO minus ones at such a nascent stage in your career. I mean, trust me, Avikal, whenever I've sat down in client meetings, sometimes I speak, sometimes I don't, but the amount of nuanced insights that the clients give you, I mean, at that level, because we're interacting with CXOs and CXO minus ones, that kind of a learning is very, very it's very nuanced. It's very rare also. I mean, this is not something that you'll find in management books. These are the experiences of these highly successful individuals that they are talking about. So that kind of, pearls of wisdom you're able to get through consulting. Having said that, the sustainability does become an issue. I mean, obviously, when you're off office and you're on the client side, you are there for like a bunch of 4 or 5 days. You're not able to meet your family. You're staying in hotels. So there are people who leave the consultancy industry, like once they want to settle down in life, or want to get married, or they want to spend time with their family. So I think there is a trade-off over here, which every individual or every student needs to exercise, whether they want. If they're up for that high fast-paced life, go for it. Consultancy, you'll enjoy. But if you're not, I mean, I think you can go into the industry as well.
Right. Okay, so getting back to the pandemic phase again, do you think there has been any significant consultants work nowadays? And on the same note, what do you think is the future of consultancy in developing countries like India, considering this economy and, as I mentioned, all this COVID stuff happening around us?
So there are two parts of your question. One is that what is the future of consultancy? And the second one was that how the ways of working have changed. Definitely, pandemic pushed us all into our homes, and everything that used to happen on client sites or in client offices and boardrooms has been shifted to Zoom. I think I'm not the right person to talk to because I have not experienced consulting in a non-online environment. I mean, I just had 2 months of stint at EY, but I was not exactly traveling that frequently as well in those 2 months. So that kind of lifestyle, which it's like when you're flying to a different city on Monday and you're coming back on Friday, and that I have not experienced. I've just experienced, I'm so sorry, like Bain and Company on the Zoom, on that platform. So having said that, my seniors tell me, like my seniors at Bain and Company, that it's all about individual preferences. There have been people who have been very happy, like their productivity has increased, their efficiency has increased, because they always thought traveling to be like a mind-numbing waste of hours kind of an exercise. But there are some people who literally yearn for traveling, because they're like, okay, that is why we want, I mean, that is the exposure that we wanted, like talking to clients and going to their sites, going and seeing the production sites, their manufacturing facilities. That is what gave us the kick. So I think it's 50-50 down there. And having talking about the future of consulting in India, it's huge, it's big. I mean, the consulting is one such industry, Avikal, where there is always a boom whenever there is a bust outside. So there has been bumper hiring in consulting this year. Despite this economy, because when the economy is in shambles, the big firms always seek out consultants to help with their problems. So that's like a really good time for the consultants out there. So in my batch, our batch is like 400 and 20%, like about 80 of us went to MBB, McKinsey, Bain and BCG. So you can understand like how aggressively they are hiring, considering the pandemic situation.
Right. Yep. So where do you see yourself probably in the next 5 or 10 years, based on what have you said about consultancy and the medical field, and considering COVID?
Avikal, again, a very HR question. I'm telling you, you need to just very fastly apply and to the HR department, because these are the questions the HR always asks us, that where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years down the line? Anyways, I mean, 5 years to 10 years, I don't have any, I'm not that sure about what 10 years holds for us or holds for me, but 5 years, definitely I would want to be associated with a leading health tech or a
right?
Pharma company. Yeah.
That's what I was asking. Right. So I think with that, we come to an end to this session. It was wonderful talking to you about first medicine and then about consultancy and management. I hope our viewers got many useful insights from your personal experience. And thank you so much, ma'am, for taking time out for our session. And we wish you the very best for our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. And I'm always ready. If any of you have any personal doubts or career insights, or if any one of you wants to have information about what different sets of businesses are entailing to, how to prepare for CAT or how to track case interviews for consulting firms, I am always a click away on LinkedIn. Do connect with me. Like I think that Dr. Dhairya Srivastava is the name of the profile as well. And thank you so much, guys, for having me over here. I mean, it's a pleasure. I mean, it's always a pleasure to go back and actually talk to students who are starry-eyed. And I mean, I was in your shoes. I mean, I had organized so many speaker sessions, whether at Manipal or at IIM Ahmedabad, and that's when you are looking at those people and you are okay. Wow, I would want to have such a career, or this is the kind of path that I want to trod on. So you're always welcome to talk to me, and I always have like a soft corner for NITK. So anyone wishes to talk to me, so they can always connect. They can always connect with me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. That sounds great. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have a nice day.